Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Susan Jacob. I'm Director of Library Services for St. Lucie County. And I'm very excited to be here today to mark the opening of the Paula Lewis Branch Library. Whenever we're able to celebrate an innovation that serves residents of this county better and contributes to the quality of their lives, I'm especially happy. What a good day today is. Really, it's actually a pretty great day for those of you who've been on this project since 2013. And before we got started, I wanted to welcome and introduce you to some of our special people who are here today supporting the library. First of all, we have the St. Lucie County Board of County Commissioners. Commissioner Chris Zadovsky is here. Vice Chair Todd Mallory, Linda Bartz, Commissioner Franny Hutchinson, and Commissioner Kathy Townsend is here. Here today also from St. Lucie County are a couple of our constitutional officers. We have Supervisor of Elections Gertrude Walker is here. And our property appraiser Michelle Franklin is also here. We also have on our dais Mayor of Port St. Lucie, Mayor Greg Orbach is here. I have Councilwoman Stephanie Morgan is here. Councilwoman Shannon Martin is here from the city. And then we have all the way from the city of Fort Pierce, we have Commissioner Jeremiah Johnson is also here. Thank you to all of you for taking time out of your day to come here. County administration is well represented. We have the county administrator, Mr. Howard Tipton is here. Pardon me? And Deputy County Administrator Mark Satterley is somewhere. Oh, there he is, in the second row. Oh, I didn't know that. I have somebody here from Senator Bill Nelson's office. Michelle McGovern is here, so thank you. That's the worst part. Right now I'm over that. I didn't forget anybody. Or I'll hear about it if I did. I'm happy to thank all of those who have made this project possible, especially this Board of County Commissioners. They provided the timely support to finally get this building bought and renovated and finished. We've been trying to put a library here for over 20 years. Commissioner Hutchinson and Commissioner Lewis also have been witness to that. So it's quite an exciting day. And Commissioner Zadovsky, 20 years though? I don't know. All right.
I just looked. He said he's only 30.
While this library has been mostly built and renovated with library impact fees, we also couldn't have finished this project without, we received a $500,000 grant through the State Library of Florida, and I understand David Beach is here from the State Library of Florida, so we really, that was the $500,000 that brought us over the edge. So so thank you, State Library of Florida. The Friends of the Library have also been this library system, really their best friend for almost 50 years. As each branch library was built, they have stepped forward with a major gift, and this branch was no exception. They gave their biggest gift yet, $300,000, which we used to jumpstart the collection. And the Friends of the Library are well represented here today, starting with President Carnell Clifton. Is Veronica our vice president? Okay. We have Patrick Pinkney, our treasurer. Helen Leitner is here. Barnett Miller Moore is here. Thank you, Barnett. I think we also have Paula Lewis has now become a friend of the library. And we have Commissioner Bartz, who's the board liaison to the Friends. We have Dr. Rudy Widman, who wears two hats. He's on the Library Advisory Board and on the Friends. Dr. Widman's back there. And we have Jim Wilder, who's on our Friends Board, but also is a law library person. So thank you, Jim. Today I have the honor of standing in front of you as a representative of all county staff who work so hard to bring this library to completion. So many people worked so hard to get us to this day, and these last 2 weeks were admittedly a little bit wild. The day is a bit long, but all of the facility staff really came through for us. All of the information technology staff came through for us, and library staff were just wonderful. They all got us to this day, and what I want to tell you is we're about 95% there, so make sure you don't open any of our closets. All of our services are operational, but be a little patient with us over the next 2 weeks as we work out some of the kinks. There weren't enough things not working to deny the public access to this wonderful facility. So even though we're not going to be perfect, we decided to just go ahead and open the doors and let all of you tell us all the things that we still need to do in the building. This is St. Lucie County's 6th branch library, and it's the first one that we've opened since 1999. We've been trying to build a library in this neighborhood for almost 20 years, and finally, with the support of the BOCC and county administration, we have been able to bring that dream to a reality. We needed that support because while the building was bought and renovated with library impact fees, our annual operating expenses and the funding for 10 new staff members had to be supported by county administration and the BOCC, and it was. So in addition to you all having a wonderful new library, we have 10 more jobs in this county, and we're thrilled about that. For those of you who don't know, this building started out as a police substation, and I challenge any of you to find a trace of that police station in this building. I'm so grateful the city decided to put it on the market. I'm not sure the city's so grateful they decided to put it on the market, but we're thrilled. We were able to buy the building in 2013, and you'll see the result of all that work. I just wanted to mention, I'm not sure if he's here yet, but part of this design came to fruition because we had a really great architect. John Binkley was the lead architect for EDB Architects in Vero Beach. And I don't see John here today, but this is his work that you're going to see as well. Prosperity and economic development are returning to St. Lucie County. With 305,000 residents, we are becoming a modern and innovative community, and this new library is one illustration of that. For every dollar invested in public libraries in Florida, the return on investment to communities is $10.18. People forget that. Public libraries remain community institutions. Libraries matter. We're not on decline. E-books have not overtaken print books, and there are still more public libraries in this country than Starbucks. We're the go-to place for free educational resources. More and more we have become that place that the average person gets exposed to new and fun technologies, and you'll see some of that in this building. And of course, there's the free Wi-Fi. Last year, over 50,000 people came into one of our libraries just to use the Wi-Fi, to sit down and use the Wi-Fi. I did want to mention we have an innovative partnership in this library. We invited the Rupert Smith Law Library to open up a branch of their library here. They're not quite up and running yet. They will be early in November, And what that's going to mean is that all of the very specialized and expensive resources that a law library provides will be open to members of the public as well as attorneys. And we're really excited about that partnership. There are 100,000 people of all ages within a 5-mile radius of this building. I mean, it's phenomenal how we've grown here. And we hope that every one of those 100,000 make this library an important part of their lives, just not all on the same day. More history on the building is actually in the program, and I don't want to take your time telling you all that. I hope you'll read it. And next up is I wanted to invite the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, Commissioner Chris Zadowski.
Again, good morning, and thank you. Let's hear it for Susan Jacobs. She's and her staff. She and her staff, and I would be remiss in not saying the Friends of the Library, because they have been a significant part of this community for many, many years. When I first came onto the board, we went through the recession, and there was a time when the Zora Neale Hurston branch was very small and in need of expansion. And the Friends of the Library stepped up and helped us not only move forward with the expansion, but also to be able to provide the administrative costs. And so I just want to personally thank the Friends of the Library for their commitment to the library system in St. Lucie County for all these many years, so thank you. And again, Susan, thank you for getting all those names out there. I was getting a little worried over there. Again, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, all of which are seated here, I want to again welcome you to this wonderful, wonderful event. I want to briefly talk about the cooperation between our cities, Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie, here in St. Lucie County. We have probably one of the most collective, cohesive governments, agencies in the state of Florida. Do we fight? Yeah. But that's what makes us better. We have cooperation, collaboration, and sometimes compromise. And that's what makes your leadership better in this community. So I want to recognize each of our community boards, Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, and our board, as well as St. Lucie Village, because you are represented across the 600 square miles as well as you could possibly be represented, because these people care. They're your neighbors, and they work very hard on your behalf. So with that, I want to next bring up Mayor Orbeck from the city of Port St. Lucie.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hey, let's give it up for the Palm Point Jazz Band back there. That's an A-rated school. You think they read some books? Definitely, definitely. Hey, for thousands of years, libraries have been at the heart of great civilizations. And no matter what's changed in the last 30, like that we could have a library on our hip, we know that some things haven't changed. We know that libraries are still at the heart of what make counties and cities great. We know that this is a place of learning, of culture, and of fun. And on behalf of the city of Port St. Lucie, I'd like to thank the county and the Friends and all of those volunteers out here who made this library come to be and will make sure that it continues to keep our community great for the days, months, years, and decades to come. Now, in closing, this is a message to the kids out there. This is for the children and for the young adults at Palm Point and everywhere else. Wikipedia is not a resource you can use in your research paper, so put down your phone, get your tail into the library, and look at some books. Thank you.
Next, we have Carnell Clifton, President of the Friends of the Library.
Is it still morning? Good morning. I don't know what to say, but I would like, well, I wanted to ask all the board members or friends to stand, just let people see who you are. This one? And, well, thank you. You know who I am, so I don't have to go through that. And we are friends of the library, because we know that the library is an important institution in every community. But you know, libraries have changed. I would like, somebody wrote, somebody named Dawson said that a great library contains the diary of the human race. When you think about it, it's true. And then I read something that Nikki Giovanni wrote about her library when she's a poet. She writes poetry, and she was talking about her library years ago. And she said it was a large room with wooden floors, hard wooden floors. There were some green shades, I guess, at the windows, large wooden tables, large chairs, and there was a circular desk. On the left of the circular desk was the card catalog. On the right were newspapers, and she said that it seemed like the newspapers were on something that looked like a quilt rack. And then in the back, magazines came forward. Then she heard the sound of the librarian. And then she saw all of these books. And she said that the anticipation of my heart, all those books, another world, just waiting at my fingertips. But our libraries have changed so much, because you can go to the library and when you have you get free internet, right? You get CDs, you get a lot of free services. So all of the services that we have now in the libraries is waiting at your fingertips. And you can have that same great expectation. The Friends are very honored to be able to help the library. And you know, there's a story about, I can't tell you, I don't have time to tell you that story about how the Friends got to be able to help the library as much as they do. But we'll tell you about that maybe another time. But we are very proud of this facility. And we also proud, you know, our library names are changing, so we have pretty names. Yeah, I looked up Paula, but we'll talk about that later, but one word was petite. One was petite, but petite you have to be careful with petite people because they can do great things. But we'll talk later, okay? Thank you.
Good morning. It's actually my honor today to be the person to introduce my favorite commissioner. Sorry, commissioners. Paula, I'm retired now, so I can say that. Paula Lewis. She's been my friend and not co-worker, I guess, because she was the boss for a great many years. Oh, she's been with the county for 20 years, and I've been here that same 20 years. And of course, I've been told recently that I give the history all the way back to the beginning of man, so I'm not going to do that.
But then you'll proceed.
But then I will. But I will tell you that we realized that we had impact fees and the ability to use those impact fees while the prices were down, and started looking for land to build. And Diana Wasowski has a real estate license, and she looked in the MLS for us, and we found this building, and we just couldn't believe it, and came out and looked at it with the City of Port St. Lucie folks, and it was, Susan had the imagination to see it. I don't, you gotta have it in front of me before I know. But the vision here to see that this could be such a wonderful, wonderful facility. And it's taken us a while, because this all started back in 2013. But the board, and Commissioner Lewis was on the board and made that vote, and everybody voted for it. How could you not vote for this? It was going to use impact fees, library fees, and the wonderful help from the Friends of the Library. They're always there for us. And so anyway, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the lady who, because of her untiring dedication to the county and her outstanding leadership, I got to read this because I get emotional, through her major contributions to the library system, her fellow board members honored her by naming this new branch as the Paula A. Lewis Branch Library. I now present my friend, Commissioner Paula Lewis.
Could you all sit down, please? Thank you so much, but this is, it's been a while. Standing here looking at a room full of people, kind of deja vu all over again or something, I don't know, but I do want to say that I am just obviously so very pleased to be here this morning, and it is so wonderful to look out and see so many friends, so many relatives. I think there's only one blood relative in the room, but there are a lot of family of the heart right here. So thank you all. I have seen people today that I have not seen for literally years, and I am just beyond belief thrilled to see all of you here to share this event. But I want to say what a great honor it is to have this library named after me. Of all the things in the world to be named after me, I probably would have chosen a library. Not that I ever really thought about that. I just don't think in those terms. And I will tell you before I say anything else that I know folks have been telling me, oh, you shouldn't feel odd, this is a great honor. Yes, it is a great honor, but I challenge any of you to have your name in letters that large on the front of a building and not feel a little bit weird about it. So, thank you all. One of the things I want to say, several people have mentioned that this particular facility came to the project started in 2013. But I want to tell you, this library, yes, somebody else is laughing along with me. This library, this particular facility, this particular location is very important because there has been a move to get a library in this section of the city for a very long time. When I moved to Port St. Lucie, and I won't talk very long, I know it sounds horrible, but when I moved to Port St. Lucie 30 years ago, you talked about the few people that lived way out west of the Turnpike. Well, there weren't a whole lot of people that lived way out west of the Turnpike. There were some, but there weren't a lot. Other people are nodding, agreeing with me. But Port St. Lucie being what it is and doing things the way it does, they tend to fill empty space really quickly with people. So by the time this, I came in 1987. And I will tell you, when I came, I was elected to the city council in 1994. There still weren't a whole lot of people out here. Well, by 1999, when the wildfires went through, there was a lot of community out here to protect and to worry about. And already at that point in time, Susan Kilmer was director of the library at that point in time, and I sat on Friends of the Library as the county appointee. There was a discussion that this part of the community was, very polite word, unserved. They didn't have a library. And St. Lucie County is very proud of their library system, and justly so. As has been mentioned, this is the 6th facility in the county. And we're not one of the bigger, wealthier counties in the state, But libraries matter to us, and I think that says a lot about the kind of community we are, truly. But the fact remains that in the early 2000s, the Friends of the Library were working with the county, and the county was working with whomever to get a library built in this segment of this part of the city, this community. Well, there was a piece of property found down next to Windmill Point Elementary School. And there was a state grant, heavens above, imagine that. And the county had library impact fees at that point in time as well. So I remember as a friend of the library sitting there with Susan Kilmer telling us, and we were so excited we could build a building. The bad news was that we couldn't put books and librarians in it. There was no funding left. So if any of you have ever been in government or worked with government, you will know how horrible it is to have to give grant money back. You just don't do that if you can avoid it at all. Well, we couldn't avoid it. The grant money went back, and we moved on. And I think all of us decided we would live to fight another day. This idea wasn't gone, it just was postponed. Well, a few other things happened. There was a recession, and property values plummeted, and all sorts of things like that. But as has been mentioned, fast forward to the more recent past, in 2013, the concept was resurrected, moved forward, this building was found. I have not seen it in its renovated state. I saw it before, and it was an awesome building then. I can't wait to see what it looks like today. So a lot of you guys are way ahead of me. I haven't seen the new incarnation. But I am just so very pleased to see a library in this part of the community. Southwest Port St. Lucie, none of this commercial growth was here. A lot of the residents, I won't say most, but a lot of the residents weren't here. But the need was recognized, and it's finally been filled. And I am just so pleased that I have been able to see it. As was mentioned, I voted on, purchasing the property. I voted on allotting the funds to renovate it. Seeing it take place would have been wonderful, but I'm still not sure about the name thing, guys. Thank you all very much for it. Thank you. And one thing I wanted to mention, I have always been very grateful and humbled by the citizens of the county allowing me to serve them, to represent them for 20 years. It is kind of a long time. I mentioned Chris because he's almost there. And he was on the library deal with us way back in the early 2000s when we tried the first time. Freddie's been there every minute of it, haven't you? Yes. But I just wanted to say, not to take anything from the whole, there are just a few people I want to mention. I've got to tell you, when they decided to do this, they surprised me with this on my last meeting with the board. Since I was already a little bit flaky, retiring and all that good stuff, just doing that totally blew my mind. So there are some people here that I think I don't know if I could ever thank them adequately, but I want to thank them more particularly. First of all, the folks that instigated this naming thing, is Barbara here? Barbara Felton, my there she is, she's sitting way in the back. Barbara Felton, my executive assistant, and Daphne Stewart, my daughter. I understand it was their idea. I love them both very much, thank you. But then it had to go through the process at the county. Now you've got to understand, that means administrators and deputy administrators and directors and managers and staff galore, and nobody told me. I still don't know how that happened. I do know that my last meeting was made somewhat stressful by the fact that I had a different agenda than everybody else, but I didn't know it. So I made what I considered a couple of major faux pas along the way, but we got through it. Of course, I am very glad my heart is strong, because when they began reading a proclamation, why are they reading a proclamation at this point in time? Thank you, Howard. We're reading a proclamation, what about? And then when they got to the part where the proclamation said that they were going to name the library after me, I managed to, I think I just covered my mouth briefly before I managed to grab a hold of myself. But I am just so truly honored and grateful to all of you for doing this. I can't promise that I will come to this library a great deal. For one thing, this is way out west of the Turnpike. And I live way in, oh my daughter lives out here now, so she's waving at me, okay. So there are a lot of people that will be here, I am sure. And I am way east of the Turnpike, so I'm on this side of the highway, but near City Hall, if that helps any. But I want to thank everyone so very much for coming here today. And once again, this honor is just beyond anything I could have imagined. And for those of you that made it happen, oh, and I forgot to mention the Board of County Commissioners. You guys all knew about it, and none of you mentioned a word. And it was kind of disconcerting, to put it mildly. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I am just obviously very excited and very whatever. I can't tell you how I feel. Thank you.
So our next and final order of business is we're going to allow Commissioner Lewis and the commissioners to head out front, and we're going to do a traditional ribbon cutting.
Okay, now.
Count it down. 1, 2, 3.